Hi everyone, this is Trey. So for today's video, I'm going to go over the idea of when to forgive someone and when to leave them. Now this is going to be another scenario which is case by case. Who is this person that you're thinking, should I forgive them and give them a second chance, or should I just bye? For me, let's talk about relationships, romantic relationships in particular. Technically, you can forgive everyone for anything they do. That also includes cheating. But you also have to realize, like, is this something that they're actually going to change? So I am in a relationship currently. It's going on 4 years. I've actually known this person for about 10 years. We dated when we were younger. For almost 2 years when I was like 18, 19. And we got back together when I was like 25. I am 29. So it's about to be 4 years in a few months. And in this relationship, we both have made mistakes. I just want to make that clear. Both. But there are things on his end that would repeat itself. So in my particular situation, I have learned to forgive. Because he would promise me that he would change. But I also am ready to leave. And I'm not saying that when he promised me he'll change, he just changed. That's not how human behavior works, especially my partner. And it would take him a lot of tries, depending on what the issue is. And I just had to listen to how I felt. You know, it wasn't like, there wasn't a finite number, like, okay, he messed up 3 times. The 4th time, gone. It varies, and it varies on the severity of the problem. If it's something small, like they don't pick up their socks, they might never change that, but can you live with that? But if it's something a little more scary that might involve, you know, your safety, your mental health, which it has been in my relationship where it's a serious situation, and he repeated it many times. Like probably more than 5 times in the last 4 years. But I had to decide at one point, it just felt like, you know what, this is it. This is my final time allowing this to happen. You do this one more time and we're over. We're done, like done. And I meant it. And, you know, I never thought I'd be that person that gave them many chances to begin with. And I did. But you also have to be ready to leave too. When you ask these questions, you do have to be ready to leave. Of course, we want someone to change and forgive them and get back together and stay together. But you also need proof. Just because someone says that they'll change, it doesn't mean it. So you can give them a chance. Again, let's just pick a very small problem. You can probably give this person many chances for like, oh, he just doesn't take out the trash every week. You know, honestly, someone could do it like 20 times, and I don't think it's that serious to like get mad over to break up a relationship with. But you might have, if that's their, like, when you divide the chores and that's their chore and you do the cooking or something like that, then it's like you should probably sit down with them and be like, please, can you just figure out a way to remember to take out the trash? But if it's something more serious, like a drug addiction or cheating, that one, you know, I'm not going to judge you for giving a guy 10 chances. And I'm not going to judge you for not giving a guy 1 chance to cheat on you. That's honestly up for you to figure out and to understand what you can handle and what you can't. Every journey is different for every couple. I believe that there are certain things that have to happen to make you grow. And sometimes you might have to experience something like cheating. I understand that the norm is to never allow cheating. I get that. But there's a difference between someone making 1 mistake and then doing it 20 million times. And once they do it so many times, you just have to realize that if you stay with them, they're probably going to keep doing that. Just like the sock thing, they're probably not going to pick up their socks. And this person has repeatedly cheated on you. They're most likely going to keep on cheating on you. And are you okay to stay with that? Let's not be delulu. Let's not be delusional and be like, well, he said he's not going to, but he's done it like 20 times. He might not do it for another 6 months, but in another year, he might do it again. Are you prepared for that? Be realistic. He hasn't picked up his socks for the last 3 months. probably won't pick it up for another 3 months. You have to get to know your person. You have to get to know that what they're saying is true or not, and if they're a good liar or not. And to be quite honest, when is a good time to leave is when you've had enough. Whether it's just this person won't change for you, and you're just like, well, for the rest of their lives, they're gonna not pick up their socks. For the rest of their life, they're gonna keep cheating on me. And I don't want the rest of my life dealing with that. For me, picking up the sock thing is a very small situation, but some people, it is a serious thing because they care about cleanliness, and you know, their make it or break it is hygiene. So I'm not here to judge you if that's the case. So if that's a make it or break it for you, then leave. And they've shown and shown and shown again that they will never pick up their sock, then go. If that's like a big deal in your relationship and you don't want to deal with someone who can't pick up after themselves, that's fine. But you have to decide what's a make it or break it for you and what's not. It's going to be different for everyone else, and don't reference like all of your friends, because you have to sit there and truly think like, am I okay with this? Because like, I'm going to use like an innocent example, like snoring. Some people cannot tolerate snoring at all, but some people can. They can sleep through it. So if you're someone who's a light sleeper and you can't be with someone who snores really, really loud, you might have to think about that, right? And these are really small situations, but when you put it to a bigger situation, you know, it varies on how much you can handle in your relationship or not. And if it's a really serious situation in the future where it's like, I can't have you drunk as a skunk and making yourself a mess and putting yourself in danger while driving because I want to have children one day, then you have to really be willing to leave, because this person has shown you time and time again that they can't handle themselves on alcohol, because your safety is at risk now. So those are the factors that you have to think about, of how serious is the situation and what does it mean to you if this continues on for the rest of your life. And you know, so in my particular relationship, usually after the third or fourth time, maybe fifth time, they finally rewrote their behavior, from small ones to big ones. And that's personally my boyfriend. Every person's gonna be different. Some people can do it like that. Some people might take a little more time, more than 4 or 5 times. But from my patterns and what I've asked him to change that I like didn't want to tolerate, usually after the 4th or 5th time, he does change. So for me, if I want to stay with him long term, I realize that every time I want a new situation to be rewritten, a behavior, give it 4 to 5 chances. And if he doesn't change by then I might have to leave if it's a serious situation. That, for me, that's my gauge. And you have to get to know people to know what their limits are, and their threshold, because everyone's different. And there's a lot of other factors that go into it. You know, are they just someone who is very forgetful? They need an alarm system. Are you okay with that type of system? They might not understand human behavior the way neurotypical people might behave. So those factors come into play. And you know, I support therapy, where therapies can be very helpful, where you can understand that, am I behaving this way, am I forgetting this way simply because I don't care, or because I just don't have it in me to remember? Because there is a difference between the two. Sometimes they just don't care to change and they're selfish and they want to have their cake and eat it too. And sometimes there is a behavior issue and they're more neurodivergent than neurotypical. And neurodivergent is someone that just psychologically behaves differently, and it's kind of the way they were born, whereas someone who's neurotypical does the typical things, the normal things that you would do when certain emotional reactions happen. And you have to think, like, how many times have you forgiven this person, and how many times have they disrespected you and took your forgiveness for granted and they didn't change? You have to decide if it's twice, 3 times, 4 times for your threshold as well. How many chances are you willing to give? What do you find morally correct? You have to decide it on your own, and you have to decide it based on the person, based off of their cognitive thinking, based off of their mental health, based off of what you can deal with. If you can only deal with one mistake one time, that's you. So follow that. But if you're someone who, I believe in giving them a few more chances, that's also you. So do it that way. You have to kind of listen to your body and listen to how you react to these type of situations. And when I say listen to your body, I mean like, you know, a couple of things that is pretty normal is like crying. How many times are you finding yourself crying over the situation and they're not changing? How many times are you sitting there feeling disgusted by your partner? How many times are you sitting there feeling like you can't be the same with your partner again? And then you have to realize, like, can I even get over that? And if you can't, maybe it's time to leave. I'm also going to use one relationship I had. This person, I was dealing with them for a year. We were like on and off, kind of in a relationship, kind of not. Sometimes like we would make it official and then we would break up and, you know, that type of mess. And I realized that, so they made one mistake. This person in particular, I knew them for 2 months at this point when we decided to be exclusive. And I met this person off of Tinder, and we decided to delete our Tinders and not talk to other people. That was a mutual agreement. We verbally said that. And then they went on a trip to Europe, and they decided to re-download Tinder to meet friends to go out with because they were traveling solo. And they decided to tell me after, when they were coming back to the States. And when they told me, I didn't respond right away because I was like hurt, right? Because we had this verbal agreement. It wasn't just me imagining things and just doing things passively. We brought it up and agreed. So it hurt me. And then they were manipulating me where they were saying like, fine, I'm just gonna throw away all of your gifts that I was gonna give you. I bought you X, Y, and Z things for you. You don't want to respond to me. And I was like, whoa, you're the one doing me wrong. And I'm taking my time to digest this and you're trying to flip it? That was bad, right? So, but I know a lot of us would say should have left right there and then. But at that point in my life, I've been the girl that leaves very quickly. And I kind of regretted it in one of my relationships. And I was like, you know what, let me see if I can forgive, because I've never forgiven a guy really before. And I felt like it was just one of my life lessons. It was just one of those things where I felt like this is a situation that keeps happening. Let me see if I approach it differently, and things turned out differently. And I decided to give him a chance and see how things went. And I truly did forgive and like I never brought it up. I never forgot, but I never brought it up again. And months later, he was still bringing it up, being like, I feel like wrong for what I did. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not bringing it up, and you're the one who did that. I don't know what's the issue. I don't know how to move past this. And we kept arguing about things that didn't even involve the first mistake. So that's when I realized, like, I'm not gonna keep forgiving, because I did what I thought I needed to do, because this was a trend of mine where a guy made a small mistake that was sort of committing infidelity, but it wasn't fully. It was a form of infidelity, but it wasn't like serious. You know, there's levels to it. Because I think he really may have just hung out with them and needed people to hang out with, but he could have consulted with me before doing that. But that was the dishonest part about it. And I was like, okay, this situation mimics another situation that I had where he did something very similar, talked to girls online, but it wasn't like escalating. It was like, it was cheating, but it was emotional cheating, and it was like flirting. And I was just someone that took things really seriously and was like, any level of cheating, bye. I'm not tolerating that. And again, nothing wrong if you're still that person. I'm not judging you for that, but for me, I truly feel like I needed to learn how to forgive. I really feel like spiritually that was my life lesson. And I did it, and finally this time I forgave. And we were still fighting. And I'm like, okay, so we just don't get along. You and I aren't compatible, because I forgave you for something that I took seriously. I don't tolerate infidelity, and we're still arguing about other things, just small stupid stuff. We're not compatible. it's time for me to leave. I'm not going to continue forgiving you and forgiving you and forgiving you, because we fight over dumb stuff. Like when I say dumb stuff, I mean dumb stuff. You and I just bicker too much. Bye. So that's a situation where when I proved to myself that I was able to forgive, and that's something personal to me. Everyone's gonna have a different experience. And I'm like, it's time to go. And to be quite honest, when I date people, after a year is when I decide if I can, like, if I kind of like do a checkup. Like, can I see myself long term with this person? No, I can't. So I'm not gonna give it another month or another year or another 6 months. It's been a year of my life. A year is a long time to know if I could potentially see long-term potential in it. I couldn't see it with this person. So I'm like, why am I still here? I'm gonna go. And in friendships, similar. You know, whatever mistake your friend did to you, like they I don't know what they like. It really depends on what your specific guidelines of what's a good friend or not. But me in particular, I don't like friends who make fun of other people. So that's something I cut off pretty quickly. I'm not going to forgive you about that. It's like, if you want to make me disappear from your life, all you have to do is start making fun of random people, and I'm gonna be like, I don't want to be your friend. I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy, again, mean girl energy or any type of mean energy for unprovoked. No one asked you what your opinion was, and you're sitting over here picking at people, making fun of people for their looks, for whatever it is, calling them stupid, calling them slow, calling them fat, calling them ugly, too skinny, whatever it is. I don't enjoy that. You do that, I'm not going to be your friend. So depending on who you are and what you decide is important to make it or break it, you decide if this person keeps committing this act and how many times. And you realize, for me, when I realize that this is a part of their personality, I'm gonna go. Because I'm not your mother. I don't have the time to sit here and tell you not to make fun of random people. I don't have the time to tell you that it's mean to belittle other people. I don't have the time to console you and be your morality guide. Even if I've known you since we were babies, I'm not that person for you. You're not my child. You're not someone I need to give that advice to. You need to figure it out on your own, and I don't care how you figure it out. And if you have that train of thought about another action, then you have to implement it. And then that's when you'll realize, like, if this person keeps committing my make it or break it, I have to go. And for me, I decide to go usually when it's malice intent, when it's just mean. There's a difference between like an innocent mistake of like, oh no, I spilled coffee on you, and like I'm just a really clumsy person, and someone else who I am a mean person and I think it's funny when I spill coffee on people. That's different, right? So it's kind of hard to distinguish, like, I'm going to cut people off because they spill coffee on me. For me, it's more about the intent behind it. It's like, they're not, like, you've seen this person spill things on themselves and other people, and you just happen to be in their path and they spill coffee on you. That probably is an innocent mistake and they really are clumsy. But for those that I've seen make fun of people and throw coffee at people or food at people, and they sit in the corner and giggle, that's a malice intent to me. So I don't want to be around you. So I can't really tell you, like, they do this specific action and they're not a good person to keep around and you shouldn't forgive them. You have to kind of like understand the person and their psychology and their intent behind it. And the more you get to know people, the more you'll understand, and you just feel it in your gut. Your intuition will tell you, like, this is someone who's doing this out of malice. This is someone who's doing it out of pure innocence, and they're literally just clumsy. It's a very big difference between the two. And it's just something you feel, like how, like, we're all connected through energy, and it's something that you feel when you're around someone. You feel that this person is sincerely sorry, or you feel that this person is kind of laughing at you for spilling that coffee on you. And then you just see how they act towards other people. Are they constantly throwing coffee at people and then like laugh? Like, people are messy. They're not always as meticulous. So if someone is doing out of malice, you'll get to see it in action being done to other people one day. One day they're gonna throw coffee at someone and they're gonna go to you and be like, oh my god, I threw coffee at that person, ha ha ha. And then you realize like, wait, they threw coffee at me too. Maybe they did it out of malice. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like if someone is talking so much crap about someone for no reason, they're gonna do it to you too. What makes you any different? And the talking crap thing is very different. Like, it's like, if this person's just venting to you about, oh, so and so did this, I was so upset, that's a little bit different than they didn't do anything and I'm just making fun of them, being like, oh my god, they didn't know how to read this sign and they're just so stupid. I think they're just so dumb. Like, someone who's critiquing and nitpicking is very different than like, oh, this person did this to me this other day and it really hurt my feelings and I'm like so angry. Like, why would they do that? Like, they're so stupid for doing that to me, right? We're both using stupid, but in two different ways. One way is just, this person's so stupid for punching me in the head or pulling my hair. I'm so mad at them. Like, why would they fucking do that? Compared to, oh, this person can't read Pig Latin. They're so fucking dumb. Pig Latin is not even like something you can, is super common unless you practiced it as a kid. So you kind of get what I'm trying to say here. Whereas they're both using the word stupid, but one is using it in a very like derogatory, aggressive way over something that might not be as common knowledge. Whereas the other person, it's like, this person's so stupid for pulling my hair, and it's hurting me. And why would they do that? So the tone of how someone talks about something will distinguish if it's out of malice or if it's out of like pure hurt. There is a difference. And as we progress, we just have to remember, you know, this person that did out of malice, how they reacted, and then it'll be easier to spot later on in the future. Kind of like your favorite food. Your first time experiencing it, when you smell it, you don't know it, but then you eat it and you're like, oh my god, it's so good. And then when you smell it again, you're just like, oh, I remember, it was ribs. Someone's eating ribs. It becomes like memory, you know, like muscle memory. It becomes like, oh, you remember that, and that's how they reacted, and that smell of that food you remember, and this is what it smells like. And it's just something through trial and error, and you just have to watch how they talk about other people around them, and where is it coming from? Are they critiquing people because of an actual incident, or are they critiquing people just because they want to critique people? So again, I'm sorry that there's no like number of like, someone does something, you need to forgive them, someone does something 3 times, 4 times, you need to let them go. It's more so what you think that you can handle, and you get to decide that. That's the best part. If you're someone who's like, you know what, 2 times, that's it, that's my go-to, so be it. And if you're someone who's like 5 times, that's your go-to. It's what you're willing to tolerate and what you're willing to experience, because everything that happens, to some extent, we allow it. You know, if it's not forced upon us, we allow it. Again, if there's no violence or anything like that, we allow it. So we can allow as many chances as we want. And then we can decide if that person changes after every single time they change or not. If they don't, are you ready to go? Are you ready to leave? Are you ready to be alone? Are you ready to have one less friend? Are you ready to be single? Are you ready to have one less family member? You know, that's kind of more so what you have to decide. And if you are, and if you're happier without them, because obviously, look, both situations, we're going to be sad with them or without them. But without them, we can work on healing and moving on, and not having that trauma repeat itself over and over and over again, and potentially meeting a better person, whether it's a new friend, a new relationship, etc. Or just be happy on your own space. But if you stay with them, and if there's someone that doesn't change, it's gonna repeat more trauma, more trauma, more trauma. Think of someone throwing garbage. They throw garbage in your bedroom, or they keep doing that every time they come over, and then you're just gonna have a room full of garbage. Whereas if you know that they're going to keep throwing garbage, you cut them off, don't invite them over, you clean up the garbage, clean up the room. Now you don't smell garbage anymore, and it's a clean room. And you know, it might be a little lonely, you don't get to have that company, but you don't have that garbage. That's nice. I wouldn't want my room full of garbage. That's just kind of what I'm saying by like emotional damage. You don't get to have that. You don't have to repeat that emotional damage over and over and over again. So it's a case-by-case scenario of when to forgive someone and when to let them go. And it's just a case-by-case of what you can tolerate and what you deem enough or not enough. And you have to prioritize your mental health and your happiness at the end of the day, so you get to decide that. No one else gets to tell you you have to give them 3 chances, 5 chances, 1 chance, 2 chances. You decide that and you stick with that. You stick with what you can handle, and don't let anyone try to persuade you otherwise. As long as it doesn't affect your mental health in such a negative way, I think it's okay for you to decide. And you know, you say it's 3, but this person you want to give 4, that's fine. You say it's 3, this person you want to give 2, that's also fine. Like, you don't have to stick to that like number that you decided to begin with. It can shift from person to person, situation to situation, and from severity of the situation. Because again, you might just be that person that really cares about cleanliness, and that dirty sock really is a deal breaker for you. That's fine. Whereas some people might think like, I am more willing to tolerate emotional issues rather than physical issues, such as the sock. Like, I'll give more chances when it comes to someone being a little bit aggressive verbally or whatever. I don't know what example to really use, but let's just say that, you know, sometimes people talk in a loud manner. It comes off aggressive, but they don't mean to. They're not really yelling at you. It's just how they talk. But I will never deal with a sock on the floor. Varies person to person. I cannot tell you what you should tolerate, and it's up for you to decide. But I really hope that gave you a little bit more insight, and if you have any questions, comment down below and I will follow up on another video potentially answering your question to kind of just help advise the situation a little more. But thank you for listening, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.